7 on ITV1 and ITVX.
Now, with all the stories making the headlines at home and around the world, it's the ITV Lunchtime News.
Good afternoon, I'm Mark McQuillan. 10 people have been killed after a vehicle drove into a crowd of people celebrating New Year in the American city of New Orleans. Officials say 30 others were injured, and the incident happened in the early hours of this morning. Well, Carrie Davies is here now. So news of this broke in the past couple of hours. What do we know so far?
Yes, Mark, well, it happened at around 3:15 this morning, local time, in the French Quarter of the city, so around 3.5 hours ago. Police have now confirmed that a vehicle was driven into a crowd on a street called Bourbon Street at high speed. The driver then got out and started firing a weapon, and police returned fire. The New Orleans Emergency Preparedness Department confirmed that 10 people have been killed. They also say that 30 injured people have been taken to hospital. In the last few minutes, police have given a press conference. They're now describing this attack as a terrorist incident.
This event started at about 3:15. It did involve a man driving a pickup truck down Bourbon Street at a very fast pace, and it was very intentional behavior. This man was trying to run over as many people as he possibly could.
Well, the French Quarter is a popular tourist destination in the city. It's an area famous for partying. It's got lots of bars, clubs, restaurants. It's where the famous Mardi Gras celebration happens every year and is a very popular spot for New Year's Eve. The area has now been cleared of large numbers of people. Just a few hours ago, the streets are likely to have been packed with people seeing in 2025. And New Orleans is likely to be even busier at the moment because there's a huge college football game that's meant to take place there this afternoon. Whether that will still go ahead or not now, we don't know, but this area in the French Quarter is now a crime scene, and investigators are there trying to put together exactly what happened and figure out what the motive was behind this attack.
Carrie, thank you. The number of migrants crossing the English Channel in small boats rose by 25% last year. That's according to provisional Home Office figures. A total of 36,816 people made the journey to the UK in 2024, a rise of more than 7,000 compared to the previous year. But it's still lower than 2022's record figure of more than 45,000. A group of MPs has said the government should face fines if it doesn't speed up the process of compensating victims of the Horizon Post Office IT scandal. Just under £500 million of the £1.8 billion budgeted to compensate victims has been paid out so far. Responding to today's report from the Business and Trade Select Committee, the government said it was working tirelessly to speed up the process. Hundreds of sub-postmasters were wrongly prosecuted and convicted between 1999 and 2015 based on information from a faulty accounting system. Around 9 million households in England, Scotland and Wales are facing a rise in energy bills as the price cap on gas and electricity goes up from today. The increase of 1.2% means a typical household will have to pay £1,738 a year, a rise of £21. It comes as the country prepares for sub-zero temperatures this weekend, with fears many could find themselves living in cold and damp homes. Finally, millions of people have been celebrating the arrival of 2025 with fireworks lighting up the skies above cities right around the world. And despite stormy weather cancelling some events here, including Edinburgh's Hogmanay celebrations, thousands still turned out along the River Thames for a spectacular display, as David Harper reports.
There were some horrific weather warnings and some cancellations, but despite the climate, the British will always find a way to celebrate New Year and pull in people from far and wide.
I came here with my friends, and she's from India. She just traveled to visit the fireworks here.
They're coming from Turkey. We are here, finally. We want to see fireworks and we want to enjoy.
The Forecasts of strong winds and rain meant that many of the preparations for Hogmanay had to be cancelled, but this essential Scottish celebration was going to happen no matter what, and it led to some new experiences.
Well, it was a bit disappointing for the fireworks. It's really good to see the fireworks on New Year's Day. But I was very happy to hear there was other events I could attend to.
We were really disappointed, but we got to come here on a second stop, and we were like, oh, this is really great. You guys do it a little bit different than we do back in the States.
Oh, flower of Scotland, when will we see?
It all started hours earlier on the other side of the world, Sydney in Australia, making use of the iconic Harbour Bridge for an impressive display. In Syria, there were multiple celebrations as people in Damascus marked the first New Year since the fall of the dictator Bashar al-Assad. Across the Atlantic, the focus for American celebrations for decades has been on Times Square in New York. Exactly 80 years later, the fashions may have changed a bit, but the crowds are still there to see the giant ball drop at midnight. The Brazilian tradition is to head to Copacabana Beach, the fireworks show there lighting up the Rio skyline. As the festivities die down back in Europe, Pope Francis has delivered New Year Mass at the Vatican. He called on rich countries to reduce the debts owed by poorer nations, but he also used his homily to call for the faithful to respect the sanctity of life and spoke out against the relaxation of abortion laws. The weather in the UK continues to be a challenge. Strong winds delayed the start of the annual parade through London, but the spirit and the party will continue into the first day of 2025. David Harper, ITV News.
That's all for now. Romilly Weeks will be here with your next update at 6:15. But from me and all the team, Happy New Year and have a great afternoon. Goodbye.